Hi, this is Tom, and welcome to Lesson 30, Counting and Probability. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at three types of probabilities. The first one is a binomial experiment. The second one is a multinomial experiment. And our third one is what's called hypergeometric. Sounds kind of fancy, but it's not that bad. Geometric. Okay, so we're going to start with the binomial experiment number one. So a binomial experiment is something that we've all encountered, but we've probably never really realized it. But now that we are learning, soon we will see them happening around us quite often. So here's what a binomial experiment is. One is it has a fixed number of trials. So we'll write fixed, it has a fixed, and abbreviate number of trials. We call that number n, 1. 2. The second thing is each trial can be viewed as success or failure. Success or failure. For example, if you flip a coin, you may consider a head being a success and a tail being a failure. So 2. And we say success, success is P, and failure is Q. Actually, I should say the probability of success. We'll put that over here, probability. Probability of success is P and failure is Q, such that these are the only things that can happen. So we say that the probability P plus the probability of Q is 1. Okay, the next one, the third one, is each trial is independent. Each trial is independent, meaning what has happened does not affect what will happen. And finally, 4 is P remains constant, remains the same, or remains the same for every trial. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to take a look at an example of one. And here it is. We've seen this, but we haven't labeled it as such. Here we are. We're going to take a multiple choice test. A multiple choice test has 5 questions. Each question has 4 possible answers. Of which only one is correct. Finally, we would say then a score of 70% is passing. So we're going to do this problem twice. One is find the probability of passing, and two, not passing. All right, here we go. So before we start this though, we need to think about this. Is a multiple choice test really a binomial experiment? So the first thing we have to ask is there a fixed number of trials? So let's just, this is going to be our check. So the first one is, each question is a trial. Oops. Each question is a trial. And in this case, there's 5 questions, so we would say that n is 5, the number of trials. Number 2 asks success and failure. Well, instead of thinking of this as either, say you get to question 1 and there's part A, B, C, or D, or answer A, B, C, or D. And let's just say that C is the correct answer. Well, if I answered A, or let's say if I answered A on my own test, which would be unfortunate, I would get it wrong. And that's, if I answered B, I would also get it wrong. If I answered D, it would also be wrong. And so the only thing that matters is I either answer C and I am correct, or that I answer A, B, or C, and these are, oops, A, B, or C, these are incorrect. And so how about this? Let's take a look when we do this, that we'll say that correct is a success, and incorrect is failure. Okay, so that passes number 2. And notice that if there's 4 possible answers on number 1, we'd say the probability of success is 1 out of 4, and the probability of failure, Q, is the other 3 out of 4. And if you notice that P plus Q is 1/4 plus 3/4, which does give me 4/4, which is 1. Okay, so there's 2. The third one says is each trial is independent. And the answer is yes. However, we may feel like, for example, say you've answered C for the first 4 and you get to the 5th one, you may just feel that there's no way that each one could be C, but it could happen. And so even though it might go against your humanness, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. So what you did answer in question 1, 2, 3, and 4 has no effect on the pattern of answers when you come to 5. So these are independent. And 4 is the interesting one because P is 1/4. Let me clear that little up there. P equals 1/4 for all 5 questions. For all 5 questions. So the question might be, well, when would it not be that? Well, for example, say on question number 5, there was only 3 possible answers. Or number 5 all of a sudden becomes an essay question. So it would be different, and the probability of succeeding on 5 would be different than it was on the first 4. So each question fits the same pattern. All right, so with that, now we've laid the groundwork that, in fact, a multiple choice test is a binomial experiment. So we're going to stop here, and in the next video, we're going to find the probability of passing and the probability of not passing. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.